This Innovation in Science Advice session, Science Diplomacy Driving Evidence for Policymaking, is presented by the Canada Foundation of Innovation. Please welcome our moderator, Dr. Mehrdad Hariri, CEO and President of the Canadian Science Policy Centre.
Hello again, my name is Mehrdad Hariri and I'm the CEO of Canadian Science Policy Centre. We are at day 2 of INGSA Biannual Conference 2021. Today, in our second day of presentation, we will explore how science diplomacy during the pandemic has been instrumental in supporting the use of scientific evidence in policymaking. In reaction to the pandemic, the global community became closer and, in my opinion, pushed the discourse of deglobalization, who had become dominant in pre-pandemic era, to sidelines. There have been significant science diplomacy efforts in reaction to the pandemic. According to Primal Silva, our first presenter, in moments of crisis, science diplomacy plays an important role in leveraging global scientific knowledge, creativity, and innovation to help solve unexpected challenges. The short talks that you will hear presenting the enormous potential of science diplomacy in enabling multinational collaborative efforts in various parts of the world for bringing scientific evidence to policymaking. Some of these projects have started a long time ago. Collaborator parties have built trust and relationship over years. And when the global emergencies happened, already the existing infrastructure was extremely helpful to share knowledge and best practices. The example of those partnerships include the Biosafety Zoonotic Laboratory Network, which in fact was created from another emergency situation during Ebola crisis. This is led by Canadian Food and Inspection Agency and is an international consortium of 17 government organizations with animal and public health mandates and possessing research and laboratory capabilities to work on emerging pathogens. Another example, Partnership for Economic Policy, or PEP, has been experiencing with research co-production across the global south. And during the COVID crisis, this partnership has been critical to facilitate collaboration between government and local researchers. Southeast Asia SciAdvice Network, created by INGSA as a pilot project, a platform for sharing knowledge and experience between senior level decision makers, academics, and professionals in the region. RLC is another example. RLC is a high-level forum comprising of 7 regional states, which together represent more than 170 million people across 5 continents. RLS-Sciences is a multilateral alliance that produces science and science advice for policy at the regional level. And European Union Science Diplomacy Alliance, which was created in March of 2021 to encourage project collaboration, support information exchange and awareness raising, training, education, and institutional capacity building. All these fascinating stories from around the globe showing the power and capacity of science diplomacy to bring science to policy. Let's listen together.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Primal Silva. I'm the Chief Science Operating Officer at the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. I'm also the co-chair of the Biosafety Level 4 Zoonotic Laboratory Network, also known as the BSL4C-Net. Today, I want to present to you about the network and how it actually has helped us deal with the pandemic at the laboratory level in enhancing our preparedness against emerging diseases. Slide number 2. In recent years, we have seen a significant increase in the threats posed by biorisks. Examples like SARS, H1N1 influenza, Ebola all speak to that, and of course now the COVID-19. With COVID-19, we have seen an absolute devastation of global economy, as well as suffering and deaths and cost in human health running to billions and billions of dollars. The reality is, though, the COVID-19 caught us unprepared leading to serious consequences. It made us realize the importance of preparedness in every aspect of our lives. So to share with you some information about the BSL4Z net, we established this network in 2016, Canada leading the effort and working with both animal health and human health laboratories from UK, Australia, Germany, and United States. There are 17 laboratory organizations who are part of this network. Very quickly, we got into the mode of making this network truly a functional network by sharing a lot of information about biosafety, about the viruses, establishing a network of experts, and working together on scientific excellence in terms of research and exchange, as well as in terms of training and doing exchanges. So when the pandemic arrived, we were able to mobilize very quickly in terms of our efforts in understanding the virus. There wasn't a whole lot known about this new coronavirus at the beginning, the survival of the virus, the animal susceptibility, the growing of the virus, and all that actually was quite new to many of us. And the network actually helped because in sharing openly what they were doing, the research plans, sharing the opinions of the experts, what each government organization was doing in terms of dealing with the pandemic, the laboratory preparedness in terms of detection and making adjustments to the detection methodologies. All of these things really helped us in the beginning, and to this date is actually helping us a lot. In September of 2020, we organized a global symposium that brought together over 1,000 participants, and the speakers were from many different fields with expertise in coronavirus, with the early knowledge about the virus as well. That also helped us in terms of disseminating the knowledge quite widely in terms of dealing with the pandemic. In terms of moving forward, I want to share with you a few thoughts. Zoonotic diseases, as you know, are increasing. They represent over 70% of the 70% of human diseases actually originate from animal sources, whether they be domestic or from wildlife animals. And in terms of with the current globalization, in terms of habitat encroachment, all these things actually have accelerated the spread of some of these diseases. So in dealing with this, I want to suggest that there are three areas that we need to focus in on. It is because we'll never be able to stop the arrival of these zoonotic diseases. They will keep emerging. But our best bet in dealing with them lies in our ability to very quickly mount effective responses. So the first is using a holistic One Health approach, meaning that looking at these diseases with the lens of human health, animal health, and the environment, so that we can actually mount effective responses, given most of them are zoonotic in nature. Enhancing our scientific knowledge through research and knowledge exchange, so that we actually can develop effective countermeasures against these diseases. And thirdly, in developing rapid response strategies, because the rapid response is what actually determines the extent of damage and how well we can actually control that damage through effective action. So in terms of slide number 5, I want to acknowledge the critical role the science plays in this and the role of laboratory science in particular for this as well. Among many institutes, whether they be government institutes, university and industry working together to deal with these issues. The exchange of information is quite critical in this in terms of accelerating our progress in developing effective strategies. In terms of the timing, actually is absolutely critical. A lot of the collaborations and partnerships must be developed during peacetime. Because in order for the collaborations to work, we need to have trusted relationships, and the only way to do this is that if we put effort into developing such collaborations during peacetime. The crisis is not the time to actually develop good collaborations. With that, I want to finish want to acknowledge all the partners who are with us in the Biosafety Level 4 zoonotic network and acknowledge the role of the secretariats as well. Thank you for listening, and thank you for inviting me to share my thoughts with you today during this INGSA conference.
Hello, I am Zakri Hamid, founding member of INGSA and the patron of the INGSA Asia chapter. As Sir Peter Glockman, founder and chair of INGSA, once said, science advisors are obliged to advise in the context of the policy process. This means elucidating the evidence-informed options rather than simply advocating a course of action. Although uncertainty is not eliminated, there is not a single issue impacting the social, environmental, or economic well-being whereby science cannot inform and contribute towards policy development, application, and evaluation. COVID-19 pandemic has further emphasized the importance of science advice and the need to employ consistent, quality-assured, and evidence-based approaches when dealing with unprecedented challenges. One way to achieve this is through the rapid sharing of best practices between senior-level decision-makers, academics, and key stakeholders. It was this important realization that led to the birth of the Southeast Asia Science Advice Network, or CSUN. Last year, I was given the honor to chair the CSUN, which is a new initiative by INGSA to structure and strengthen direct evidence to policy-making pathways in the region through a network for senior-level knowledge sharing and collaboration. The pilot study of the CSUN involved 5 countries, namely Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam, and will run until the end of December 2022. The network is guided by the CSUN Council and is supported by the CSUN Working Group and the Research Coordinator. One major activity currently being undertaken by CSUN is a thought-sharing activity on dealing with COVID-19, which aims to facilitate discussion among the CSUN members and provide an opportunity for collective learning from each other's past and real-time experiences in dealing with the pandemic. Through this activity, we hope that members will be able to see if any strategies or measures that are being implemented in other countries to combat COVID-19 related issues can be adapted for use in their own countries. To facilitate this rapid information exchange between network members, CSUN makes use of a policy intelligence platform, which is a private access web-based platform that enables members to share relevant reports and policy recommendations, as well as participate in activities and discussions for collective learning. This platform is a unique and innovative mechanism that would help bridge communities of practice and add to the overall value of the CSUN as a regional hub for timely, relevant, and impactful science advice, especially in times of crisis. We hope to expand this network to all Southeast Asian states upon the successful completion of this pilot, and we hope that the CSUN will promote the development of best practices for evidence-informed policymaking, which is tailored to the policy needs of different countries. This will also strengthen INGSA's position as a key player in the global science-society policy nexus and as a leader of the evidence-informed policymaking movement around the world. Thank you.
Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour. Mon propos porte sur la coproduction.
I would like to talk at the proposition to make this research to the scientific to clarify the public position. I will be interested on the PEP, Partnership for Economic Policy. We realize that there is a big gap between the recommendation and the results and the scientific research, and on another side, a really weak participation to clarify the policies. To explain this unit, the communication aspect is the one that has less use, but all this are symptoms of a central problem. The challenge resides mainly that in nature, information driven by science is not automatically driven through the best channels for the economic deciders. And to gap this bridge, the searchers were recognized more and more within the last decades. Co-production is a model of collaborative research where the searchers work in partnership with the one with the knowledge and have the authority and the capacity to put in place the recommendation of the research. When we talk about the PEP, adoption of the proposition is an important phase in the history of its activities. When it was created in 2002, the PEP had a mission to reinforce the local scientific competence for developing economy. Since then, they supported 330 projects with 1,100 searchers in 60 countries, Africa, Asia, and Latin America. And the accent was put on the strengthening of the technical competence of the searcher, scientific mentora, to bring a high-quality research, and it is working. More than 50% of the documents produced by the PEP are published in the national scientific reviews. In the second decade that started 2012 up on today, the program was widened to increase the link between the research and the politics need. The result also, when we take account of these scientific studies upheld by the PEP in the public decisions. On the other side, recognition of the local expertise and the value of their contribution to inform the people in politics. On this second decade, the approach of the PEP is in 3 stages. From 2012 to 2016, we present the requirement for the searchers for the stakeholders on the economy side, public sector, private sector, civil society, or partners, and a different phase of the cycle of that research. From 2016 to 2019, we added the mentorship for the politic engagement and scientific. So politic is from experts from the same regions where we realize these studies. So for every research team is assigned a politic mandate to help and support the team for the stakeholders and the engagement with the stakeholders, and also the orientation of the research to answer the politic needs. In 2019, the PEP adopt a most formal proposition. Now, every team of searchers may be part of different institutions and principal users of the research. A letter must be made by the high-ranking officer to identify of this proposition, but also to mandate officially the mandate within the research team. The co-production is materialized by the approbation after an analysis that was done parallelly. We call that policy paper. And it's part translation, parts adaptations to know what the scientific research, how could it be brought in a more practical way in the policy making. And this experience of the PEP brought a new way of proposition in many institutions of government and research. PEP also set in place in 2020 the COA, Responses for Equity. And in the framing of this initiative, they support 11 development countries to help them on the economic side. The impact of the research has a good future. For example, the approach of co-production in this initiative shown us the importance of talking to stakeholders starting the research. So this allowed to better understand the occupation of these stakeholders and decision makers, to evaluate everyone through the context and the evaluations that are doable. And this is really important for the credibility of the research. In conclusion, these examples show how the approach of co-production of the PEP may favorize the proof of scientific matter in the public discussions. Not only it contributes to the adaptation of these results of research to make it more predictable and more adaptable, but it puts this experience and it proved that searchers that were participating through this kind of approach would get a better exposition, a better renown as expert of a high level, which guarantees on its side a long term of accompaniment. Thank you for listening to me.
Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, in Montreal or virtually connected to us. It is our pleasure to welcome you to our presentation.
In the name of RLS-Sciences, I am pleased to be here with you today at INGSA. We would like to present our multilateral and multi-level science initiative under the umbrella of the Regional Leaders Summit, RLS. We invite you to enjoy our presentation and look forward to meeting you virtually.
The Regional Leaders Summit, or RLS, is a high-level forum comprising 7 regional states, which together represent 187 million people across 5 continents and a collective GDP of 3.5 trillion US dollars. The regional powers are Bavaria in Germany, Georgia in the United States, Quebec in Canada, Sao Paulo in Brazil, Shandong in China, Upper Austria in Austria, and Western Cape in South Africa. The heads of these elected governments meet every 2 years for a political summit on sustainable development of society, economy, and the environment. Within the framework of RLS, RLS-Sciences seeks to leverage the composition and strengths of the regions to support science at the regional level. Ongoing multi-regional projects are in the fields of renewable energy, digitalization, aerospace, and small satellites. Facing the COVID-19 pandemic, in 2020, the RLS-Sciences governance had reshaped their work program within weeks to provide relevant data and analysis on regional crisis management in a new joint effort, including the creation of a new targeted research group on digital health. They delivered analyses and policy recommendations during the RLS Roundtable on COVID-19 in Linz, Upper Austria. In the 4 research areas, as well as at the overall coordination level of RLS-Sciences, promotion of multi-level cooperation with public sector stakeholders is key to fostering regional development and international leadership. RLS-Sciences is based on a multi-level governance structure of 21 permanent regional coordinators from government, science, and science administration out of the 7 regions. They work together to advance science and regional development. They also support 28 lead scientists with a dedicated framework. Each region contributes according to their specificity and capacities. The existing resources of RLS-Sciences includes its scientific network of 190 academic researchers, 50 young researchers, the bilateral relationships between the RLS members, the RLS-Sciences.org website, a virtual research and training infrastructure, and mechanisms of multilateral cooperation. International cooperation improves the quality of science and enhances the quality of regional innovation and research ecosystems. RLS-Sciences creates these conditions. The network has been working in RLS-Sciences now for almost 5 years. Members commit to a spirit of cooperation, to facilitation of international science cooperation, scientific work, and the elaboration of a science policy interface. RLS-Sciences has been increasingly integrated into the political RLS conferences. In 2019, at the initiative of Sao Paulo, dedicated RLS-Sciences conferences were initiated in addition to the previous scientific and science administration activities coordinated and undertaken by the overall management group, including supporting individual research project meetings and creating and caring for the documentation and infrastructure which lays the foundation of the network. To sum up, RLS-Sciences is a case study of a multilateral alliance that produces scientific results and science advice for policy at the regional level.
It's a pleasure to be talking today about innovation in science advice, and in particular about the European Union Science Diplomacy Alliance that we have recently founded. My name is Elke Dall, and I have been the founding chair of this new network. It's based on letters of intent of several organizations that aim to collaborate with each other based on self-commitments. And we are pursuing our joint interests in terms of nurturing the community, training, capacity building, knowledge exchange, tracking the activities in the field of science diplomacy, and advising stakeholders. The network of organizations is originally built on 3 projects that were funded under Horizon 2020. They brought together already a wide variety of organizations with the funding of the European Commission. And we were working on science diplomacy, understanding it better as this fluid concept that it is, and explaining the interaction space between foreign policy and science. The interested community that we have established is working truly transdisciplinary and involved academics as well as practitioners and also diplomatic training academy, for example. The members that we're here now are focusing on the European Union, but we're also involving global networking partners as we're working with our colleagues in Norway or with the World Academy of Sciences that is focusing on the developing world. We're open for new members, and we are establishing the working relationships with our advisory partners that are like the European Commission or the European External Action Service. I do not want to focus on the work program that we're having, but just to highlight the innovativeness of this starting new network that has really been able to mobilize the community with a lot of coordination opportunities and self-commitments. So we want to organize conferences and summer schools. We're opening up national projects. We're offering each other hosting opportunities. And we have started a series of working groups that are working towards joint publications, policy briefs, or projects. And lastly, we are already working on joint training offers and on the update of the European Science Diplomacy online course. And with this, I hand over to my colleague Angela, who is chairing the Alliance at the moment.
Thank you very much, Elke. And of course, we will be carrying on with all of these activities already mentioned and adding a focus on working together smoothly, as we are still a young alliance and we have to practice working together so we can act together in the most effective way possible. Raising awareness for the Alliance is, of course, a main priority of our work, and I am happy to announce that the November Brussels Future Talks will be focusing on the issue of science diplomacy. And of course, we will be intent on contributing to the EU policy debates on science diplomacy. And if you are interested in the event in November, we would recommend that you take a look at the EU Science Diplomacy website, where you will find all of the information necessary if you wish to attend. Stella Reschke and I would be very happy to be able to welcome you in Brussels to continue our exchange. Thank you.
And join us also on our social media channels where we will keep you informed. And thanks a lot for your attention. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi everyone from beautiful Barcelona. This is Alexis, CEO of SciTech DiploHub, and I'm here today to talk about a case study for SciAdvice from the perspective of a city-level science diplomacy strategy in Barcelona. So let's start by the center of these debates. Current global emergencies like climate change, pandemic outbreaks, food and water security, among others, set a multifaceted context where the threats reside at the transnational level and the solutions are unreachable throughout isolated actions. In this framework, science can be an effective tool based on transparency, rationality, and universality for tackling complex issues. The accelerated emergence of science diplomacy in the past decades is indicative of these traits, since it provides a framework for international cooperation based on and nurtured by consolidated data and legitimized scientific practice, potentially open up fruitful dialogues between nation-states. However, subnational actors constitute central pieces for tackling global challenges and must be included in the global practice of science diplomacy. Particularly, major cities must be active players in science diplomacy. They are disproportionately impacted by hazards that respond to a global logic but are manifested at the local level, and at the same time they have a unique potential for action thanks to the fact that they are home of most of the scientific institutions and talent and are already the size in terms of population and economic weight of many countries. Having illustrated the framework of my contribution today, I'd like to dive into the particular case of Barcelona. In 2018, Barcelona's knowledge and innovation ecosystem came together to launch a comprehensive diplomatic strategy to put the city's science and technology at the forefront of sustainable development and global challenges. As a result, SciTech DiploHub, the Barcelona Science and Technology Diplomacy Hub, was created as a non-profit public-private partnership backed by the city's research centers, universities, advocacy groups, startups, global corporations, and public institutions with the aim to position Barcelona as a global lab in science diplomacy for cities around the world and represent its ecosystem internationally. Today, SciTech DiploHub develops many programs that range from acting as a liaison between the local ecosystem and international organization, offering capacity building projects, doing research in science advice and diplomacy, working on reporting the contribution of the ecosystem towards the sustainable development goals, among many other initiatives. But today I'd like to explore our program focus on the science policy nexus in Barcelona. As previously stated, current global challenges are characterized by unprecedented complexity levels, increasing the need for more and better science-informed decision-making. However, as we have seen in the last years, evidence-based advice is not always available on time to better inform the policy-making process. At the same time, the hyper-mobility of high-skilled professionals creates a process in which professionals across all disciplines are trained at top universities, companies, and research centers in specific cities, but further develop their career elsewhere. This global mobility has positioned talent retention as a top priority for most countries and cities concerned with their competitive and collaborative capabilities. Global scientific diasporas, trained in the city but based abroad, play an increasingly central role in shaping innovative processes through collaborative methods, enabling transnational resources and networking opportunities. By articulating international professionals with strong ties to the city, a renewed approach to collaborative innovation process emerged, connecting global voices, enriching complementary worldviews, and therefore creating a solid basis for a more diversified and science-based decision-making. In this sense, SciTech DiploHub developed a pioneering effort for the operationalization of talent diaspora's potential to create collaborative decision-making processes, activating multicultural knowledge to tackle specific challenges and undertake specific missions. We believe that incorporating multicultural experts' perspective on the agenda-setting process that connects science, technology, innovation, and policymaking is crucial for a more democratic decision-making process. So to this aim, in 2020, we launched the Barcelona Alumni Digital Platform as a digital science policy nexus connecting international talent to local challenges. This network brings together over 1,000 professionals in science, technology, and innovation from any origin that were trained or worked in Barcelona's ecosystem but are currently based in more than 30 countries. Through this digital platform, they are called to participate in the policy formulation for different local challenges by providing their professional expertise and advice. It is exciting to notice how a significant part of this talent diaspora is committed to engage with the city's most significant challenges and to inform new policies within the scope of their area of knowledge, resulting in publicly available policy documents, recommendations, and projects. This approach expands on the notion of talent retention and emerges as an innovative approach to reaching experts worldwide, involving them in local policymaking, and engaging them as strategic partners. Moreover, Barcelona Alumni is also a tool for empowering emerging voices in science and technology, promoting diversity and collaboration, connecting different sectors, disciplines, and experiences to address shared challenges. We're confident that this network can provide crowdsourced, evidence-based, scalable, accountable, and transparent approaches to policymaking. So in conclusion, Barcelona Alumni has proved to have the potential to support a more science-advised and democratic approach to policymaking in Barcelona. And this network demonstrates, moreover, the potential of innovative digital tools to connect international experts and local challenges to improve the policymaking process while retaining, connecting, and empowering global scientific diasporas. So I hope that this case study from Barcelona can also become a tool for inspiration and potential replication for other governments and institutions that are here with us today. Thank you so much.
I hope you have enjoyed these presentations as much as I did, as we could hear how science diplomacy supported the use of science in policymaking, and I'm sure there is much more to be discussed in future. We have one more day to go. I'll see you tomorrow.